Hey everybody, this is Tyson.
And Logan.
And you're listening to Dad, Bods, and Beards podcast. It's a show that gives you a fresh look on being a father, a husband, and honestly, a man being in today's world.
For people who want to have a good time, laugh, and be uplifted, thanks for subscribing and listening. Now for the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad, Bods, and Beards. We have got another guest in the studio today. Some of you guys, if you're football fans, you will recognize him. Bronson Kaufusi, and we'll get to have you introduce yourself in a minute. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, which is Copper Johns, which we're lucky enough to literally have, you hear every episode because you made Copper Johns.
It's true.
But one thing that we've talked a lot about, like, the revitalizing hair serum, we've talked about the ball wash a lot, but one of the things that was a game changer for me, aside from beard oil, was the deodorant.
Oh yeah,
the all natural deodorant. I didn't realize. I'm not gonna like slam any of the big brands, right? But I was a big believer in like the Red brand that everybody uses, but I didn't realize that I was like chock full of aluminum, right? And when I started using the all natural deodorant, I went through like a detox phase.
Yeah, your armpits turn black.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if you knew
your
that.
Your armpits literally turn black.
So like,
it just spews out everything that your body's been blocking.
Like antiperspirants and stuff like that. Pretty much is like your pores get clogged with like aluminum that's in these.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of your BO actually comes from.
No way.
So I started using his all natural deodorant.
Might get some.
And it was like my pits on my white t-shirts were getting like gray. And then now I don't even have to. It sounds kind of bad, but
you don't have to wear it every day.
I don't have to wear it every day
because your natural body is just good to go.
Because it's a little bit more.
Awesome.
You only have to wear it once every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's sweet.
And you work, and I'm a big dude, and I work out and all that kind of stuff. And
what? Do you have soap too?
Yeah, it's got everything, dude.
Oh, I am definitely making the shift to like all natural. Everything.
It's really good though.
Yeah, it's the bar soaps and stuff. But go to copperjohnsbeard.com, soon to be just copperjohns.com. We'll get to that point.
Yeah.
But is the Dad Bods code still working?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, so use code DADBODS at checkout and you'll get a little discount. And try the deodorant. I mean, it's like what, $12?
$12.95.
Yeah, and it
but
lasts,
with the Dad Bods discount, it's 20%. So
yeah, and it lasts quite a bit.
Under $10.
So. Dude, well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've met you. I met you at the Connect and Conquer group at your building, the Harris Investment Group, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. So anybody who doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So Bronson Kaufusi here, everyone. I was born in New Jersey. My dad was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
What position did he play?
Defensive end.
Okay.
He was Reggie White's backup. If anyone, for all the football fans out there,
wow.
Who's Reggie White? I'm
He's
sorry.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's man. So I grew up hearing stories about Reggie.
Sure.
And they were really good friends. So I was born out there. Then we moved back to Utah. My dad became the defensive line coach at University of Utah, and so he was there for almost 10 years. And so we grew up in Holiday, and then we came down to Provo because he got hired at BYU, and then he coached there for almost 20 years.
Pretty much
3 different head coaches.
All Kaufusi brothers.
There's so many of us.
Yeah, there really are.
There's so many of him and his brothers. Like there's 6 of them, and the first 2, him and his brother went to BYU, and then the next 4 all went to Utah. And so
it's
the
cousins is that like a big family rival, like BYU Utah? Like,
you know what?
Yeah, how is this Saturday going to be?
I know this is a big week in our family.
I would say like the biggest rivalry. I'd say probably one of the more well-known like in-state rivalries amongst like other states, right?
Like Texas, Oklahoma, all that kind of, but this is
like BYU, University of Utah, I feel like even outside of Utah is known as like this massive rivalry.
Yeah, it is a big rivalry. And it's funny because when I played in it, I played against my first cousins, right?
Yeah.
They're literally lined up right across from me.
Yeah.
And I'm going up against them. And it happens a lot, actually. There's a lot of, cousins, sometimes siblings.
Yeah. You look
playing
at
against each
Taysom
other.
Hill's brother Tanner's playing for Utah, and he played for BYU. It's just like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we're excited. We're excited for this week. So it's literally the most fun game to play in too.
Sure.
I've always wondered, as players in that type of situation, is there a lot of crap talking happen, or are you guys all like, "Hey, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I did it.
brother."
Yeah, no, probably not.
Some are. Honestly, I feel like all the big guys up front, we're all like that. We're just like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Oh, hey, you know. But then as you get further away from the ball, there's a lot more chatter.
It's those skill guys.
yeah. It turns into some heated conversations.
The line, you're always like, we're chill, right? Like, but
No, dude. So I played, up at Rick's.
Yeah.
And so I went in thinking I was all big and bad. No joke. I went in cocky.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was thinking, I was like, because I'm fresh off my mission. I'm like, yeah. I'm huge. And then I come in, and all my roommates were from Tonga and Fiji and Hawaii.
Oh, no way.
No, like so Raymond. There was Make. There was Benny. Benny was 6.
and you were the little guy.
Dude, Benny was 6'9", 410 pounds.
Yeah.
I was just like,
that makes me tiny too.
yeah. No, I was like tiny. Anyway, nicest guys ever. They're drinking kava like every day. They're like just numb. And I remember like one of the guys was cooking, like grilling outside, and he was like just shorts, no shoes, but he's numb because he's been drinking kava all day. Anyway, nicest guys. Then you get on the football field.
Yeah, the switch flips,
dude. Like, and then you look at your guys' size. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm nothing.
You see why as a 5'10" offensive lineman, I never went anywhere past high school.
No, I've always wondered what it is in the trenches like with just like, I mean, I'm sure there's other schools, but when it's the so intense rivalry, how is it really?
Oh man, you know what?
Like
Everything's just
lining up and everything.
Yeah, I would say everything's just a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie. Like
sure.
when you're tackling someone and running them into the ground, you're gonna put a little bit more weight on that play. A little bit more juice in there. Like there's a little bit more. Like I remember there was one play against University of Utah. I think it was my second time playing against them in that game, and we intercepted the ball. And when you intercept the ball, the whole defense goes and turns and starts head hunting.
Yeah.
Well, I see an offensive lineman that I've been going up against, and he sees me, and we lock eyes, and we both know we're about to run as hard as we can into each other. And I literally full sprint as hard as I can run, and just went full speed into him. I didn't know where the ball was, honestly. We just collided. Boom, man.
So much fun.
And yeah, it was fun. But I mean, you thrive for, honestly, it's weird, right? That's why I like football players. So it's like all you do all day is run around and hit people, and you just thrive in that situation. But it's kind of like the warrior culture. I think that's why there's a lot of Polynesian players, because that's kind of the roots of where they came from. Yeah,
seriously, it's the most humble, most kind people
but they're so nice.
Until you get on a football field, and then they're like the worst.
Yeah,
that's funny. So you played at BYU, right?
Yeah.
What years were you there again? You said
12 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah, played football, and I did 1 year of basketball after football season.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think a guy I played football with in high school, he got a full ride to BYU. He might have been one of the only guys I think ever to lose his scholarship because he couldn't kind of stick with the honor code. He got booted his first year.
Oh yeah.
Full scholarship as a running back, and just didn't even make it through the season.
Oh,
man. This was 2009, I think.
Okay.
But yeah,
they were good that year. BYU was good that year.
Yeah. But and then after that you went.
So then I got met my wife there. She was on the soccer team. And then I got drafted in the NFL. I was drafted in the 3rd round to the Baltimore Ravens.
Nice.
Went there for a few years. Went to the Jets for a few years. Moved to tight end during COVID. Did both that year, and then I went to the Packers as only a tight end. And then from there, the next year I was in and out. But then and then from there we moved back here, and now we're here full time, honestly. So, we got 3 little kids.
Wow. So what year did you retire out of the NFL?
Technically it would have been at the end of, so after the 22 season, so the beginning of 23, I'm done. Yeah. I'm moving on.
You were just done? Or did you
I had some opportunities, but you know what, for me, talking to my wife, we sat down, we're like, hey, we met a lot of our goals. And I was pretty beat up. I had some pretty serious injuries that I wasn't even supposed to play after the first year. And so I was like, well, I think we should just call it. I kind of had to, sometimes they say man, you kind of just know when you're done. And I kind of just knew.
Well, it's kind of like I've got a buddy who
Kind of
played.
like my wife and being pregnant. Like, we were done after this.
Yeah.
You just know.
I've got a buddy who played for a couple different teams. And he played. I think he was originally drafted by the Niners, and he was with the Patriots when they won one of the Super Bowls. Same thing. I'm like, how do you know? Like, I've talked to him a couple times. He's like, yeah, I just was tired of getting hurt and big.
Yeah.
He was a big lineman. But it's funny is I've met more former and retired NFL players living in Utah than when I was living in California.
Do you want to know something crazy?
What's that?
Here's a stat. I graduated in statistics. I'm an analytics nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, big nerd. There's over 400 former NFL players within 90 minutes of Salt Lake City, Utah.
I believe it.
And that's
Well-
on their record.
Well,
Because yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Funny story is,
So
so
many.
we're on. He and I, our sons are in the same first grade class, and we're on a field trip last month, and he and I are just talking. We're talking football and stuff like that. I'm sure he's tired of talking football with me.
I don't know.
But
Football players love it though. Like
Yeah,
they love it
sure.
though. So yeah, don't ever feel
So,
bad talking about football. to
we're
a guy.
talking, and then he sees he's a big Polynesian guy too,
Yeah.
and he sees one of his buddies, and he's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?" He's like working at this event that we're at. He was like, "Oh yeah, he played for the Chargers." So I'm like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "You guys just out here and existing in regular life." And but in funny story is actually
Because they have a helmet, so you
Yeah.
can't see him.
This is true. No,
but
this is true.
his son is actually the one that gave my boy the concussion.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
So he
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his boy, you can imagine, kind of in
Big
your
guy,
your
yeah.
bloodline too, like first grader that looks like he's a fourth grader, and my boy is like the 10th percentile for height. Right? He's just
Yeah.
a little guy,
Yeah.
and they go running. They're just playing or whatever, and he runs into him, and my boy loses that match, falls, smacks his head straight on the concrete, stands up and like passes out.
On the concrete.
Yeah. So I'm
No
just gonna-
helmet.
yeah.
No,
And
not
I'm
good.
like, well, I was like, buddy, this is why you don't run into kids whose dads played in the NFL. He's like, yeah, learn that lesson, Dad.
Oh man.
But what's it? I know you got a bunch of questions, but one question I have is like, what is it like? Because like there's high school and then there's college ball. I know there's all like like the intermediate stuff like arena ball and semi-pro and things like that. But I've heard that the intensity at pro level is just unmatched, like just completely different than anything you've experienced. So what was it going from college to pro?
Oh man.
Because billions of dollars at stake.
Yeah. Because it's a $1 billion industry,
Mhm.
and they have literally, they have. You get into that league, you get into that locker room, and there's 100 guys ready to take your job. Honestly, there's a list, right?
Sure.
And they're always trying to get you out. As soon as you get in, they're trying to get you out because they're trying to find someone that's cheaper, younger, right? And so you have to get very used to going to the edge every single day, not going off the edge, but just going right to it. And both your level of play, your mindset, but it's everything from sleep to nutrition, recovery, when you're in the weight room, it all matters. Everything matters. And from your study and it's all you do all day. Like, it's your job. And so you just eat, sleep, breathe this.
Dude, your hands are huge.
And so, no, I got some big palms. I got some big palms.
That's a lot coming from you.
I know.
Yeah, big hands.
I got some big palms. I know.
That's all I
Short
know.
fingers, big palms.
You're all being serious and mindful, and you're just like, what the freak?
Yeah, that's like a big hands. Watch out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel about my little boy. He's got some big hands too. But yes, it's so intense.
Uh-huh.
It's very intense. But you know what? I just loved it, honestly, because your whole life you're taught to compete. And so now you get to compete every day and show everyone why you belong. And you have to remind everyone every day, this is why I belong.
Yeah.
This is why I'm in. This is why I have this chair in this locker room or this chair in this.
So you
meeting
do
room.
have to, it's like, I like that. You have
You
to
do have
remind
to kind
them.
of be cocky a little bit. You kind of have to like be a little bit prideful, right?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like if you don't know who you are before you go in there, they'll define you and you get spit out, if that makes sense. So you
Interesting.
really have to know your identity and who you are as a player, and really to be the best that you can be at that level, you have to bring your unique talents, abilities, personality, just be really being you, your true authentic self. That's where you win, even at the NFL level.
So do you think that's maybe where some guys have kind of lost themselves when they get like, because like I'm a big 49er fan, have been my whole life. The touchy time was the Kaepernick era for us, where he like came in almost kind of like a Brock Purdy story, came in, fixed some stuff, started playing, and then all of a sudden, like nobody realized like he was a totally different guy. Kind of like the fame got to him, the culture got to him, stuff like that, and then it was just like then now nobody likes him. So do you feel like maybe if you're not, like you said, like you're not confident in who you are, that something's going to end up defining you that may not be fitting, or like?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because as a rookie you go into the NFL and you're a freshman all over again. It's like you want to fit in, you want to, but then as you from the very first practice, the very first rep, when you go up against an all-pro player and you realize, oh, they're just another player. They get up, they get ready, they put in just as much work, they show up every day, and you start building your confidence that way. And the faster that you realize you belong, the better you are.
Sure.
Or else, because there's a lot of guys that go out there and every practice they just kind of struggle at trying to know, do I belong?
So they have a little bit of imposter syndrome?
Oh yeah, a lot of it. I would say there's a lot of that in the NFL.
Just as a rookie or overall?
Both. Yeah.
So how would you fix that?
Oh, man.
In life and as a football player?
Man, I feel like it's something that you
this
never
wasn't even
really,
a question I was going to ask.
yeah.
But
No,
I'm
I feel like it's something that you never really, like, you're always working on. But for me personally, like what I've seen for myself, because I kind of felt like, I went to the Ravens, and they're known in the NFL.
Yeah.
Their defense, right, is
Like
known.
legit.
Yeah, right. You had Ray Lewis there, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, all these phenomenal players.
Did he hit hard?
And so Ed Reed.
No, Ray Lewis.
Oh, Ray Lewis. Yeah. He was done when I got there.
Oh,
but
okay.
You say,
yeah.
did he hit hard? You're like,
No,
Yeah.
who was the hardest person that ever hit you?
The hardest person?
Yeah.
Oh,
The hardest
man.
hit you've ever got.
The hardest hit I've ever in the NFL?
Yeah. Or just period.
You know what? Kind of my welcome to the NFL moment was when Adrian Peterson broke through this hole, and I just stuck my arm out to like just kind of bring him down. But he took my arm for a ride, and I was like, whoa. And I had to like, unfortunately I had teammates there ready, but I was like, okay, I got to get my head across from now on. I can't just like tackle people like with one arm like in college, right? Like, because they're hitting the hole so much harder. The running backs are.
Adrian Peterson, he was in for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's from the high school I went to.
Oh no way, that's crazy.
In California.
Yeah, he was on
Bengals.
he was on the Commanders when I played against him.
Did he play? Am I talking about the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vikings.
Yeah, he played.
Yeah,
for
Vikings.
He played Bengals.
He came
too,
back
didn't he?
at the end of his career and played at the Commanders.
But anyway, you were
Sorry.
saying sorry.
Oh
yeah.
football all day.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's fun. So I would say, like, for me to help with imposter syndrome, I have to really, I have to start from a place of just like gratitude for the opportunity to play the game. I have to start there because it makes, for me personally, I start to think like, okay, how did I even get here? Like, my dad came from a little island, like tiny, right? And he found the game, and then he ended up playing, right? And it's like all those sacrifices, and like I've been blessed with, certain talents and abilities, and it's like, okay, like I get to walk in here every day and play. Like I get to do all this hard stuff. And so from there, because for me personally, because I start right there, it's like, man, I belong here. Like, because there's so many more sacrifices that were made outside of me that make it so, man, I get to perform. Like this is fun. Like it's not work. It's never been work. And I think some people really struggle with when they have to do something, it becomes work. It becomes heavy. It becomes, oh no, do I belong? And so I don't know. For me, that's how it's worked for me.
So what do you say to someone who has that doubt? Because for me, as an owner, of Copper Johns, and we're growing, and people are investing money and their time and their efforts into the company and into me and to Logan with Dad Bods and us. And it's just like, I was talking to Logan about this, and I'm like, am I a good salesman, or is Copper Johns worth this? Like I was literally saying, like, I don't like, is this, am I fooling these guys? Because I don't think I am, but am I? Because I have that doubt, because I'm just like, what do I not see?
Yeah.
And it scares me. Like it actually keeps me up at night sometimes with anxiety. Like, am I making the right decisions? Like, but these people think I am. So I don't know. How do I get over that?
Oh, man.
Because you're successful, but I'm like, I'm sure you still feel that occasionally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm human. I feel
Yeah.
that. That anxiety's real. You can feel it like in your chest, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like in your stomach. It's like kind of uneasy.
Because you have to, like, I treat this money that I'm given as sacred.
Sacred, yeah.
Because I'm like, I can't just go I'm going to spend $50,000 on ads today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be very responsible and a very good steward of that money.
Yeah, and that's I think the key right there is stewardship. But think of why they invested and put their money in your stewardship in the first place, and it's because the superpower that you have is you. And as soon as you start to go away from who you are, that superpower disappears. But what makes you unique? What makes you unique makes your business unique, makes the people around you unique. And I think knowing that, man, the more I can just be me, and it's like who am I, like right now. I don't want to let money change me. I don't want to let growth of the business change me. I don't want and I think that's super key, because people invest in other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a person to person game. And I think always remembering that, and don't hide it. I think that's one thing that happens when people start to feel that way. They start to change a little bit and move away from their true self, which honestly, I'm weird. My wife says I'm the weirdest person ever. And
it's a sign of a good marriage though.
Right. My wife's like, you're the weirdest person ever. And I'm like, but I embrace it because that is me. Like, the things that make me different is what makes me great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the same thing
like
as a
that.
business owner.
Things that makes me different than things that make me great. I like that a lot. One question I had for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have pretty much, I mean, with a dad in the NFL, and then as a dad, as a college coach, I mean, you guys probably eat, sleep, and drink football, right? Growing up, I can imagine, right?
This is weird. Not really.
Oh, really?
It's just really strange.
Well, good. That's good for you.
Yeah, really strange. I didn't play football till 8th grade. Crazy.
Oh, nice.
I played flag.
Did he not let you? Because my dad wouldn't let me either.
Yeah, my dad really wouldn't let me. I was just really tall, and I was like a pencil.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But then you go through 8th grade, you go through high school, and you go through college, you go through pro. Is there like when you were retiring and then looking at, because how old are you?
33.
33. Yeah. So I mean, you're younger than, I mean, I'm normally the youngest guy here. I'm turning 35 next month. But like being retired from what you worked all these years to get to by 33, what does that look like? What, like from a mental space of kind of like, okay, football's done, right? Like I'm not trying to be like harsh with it, but like you're done. Like you went as far as you could go.
That just comes out.
You went
Guys.
like you went
You're right.
Yeah, like you went the full gambit. Like you went all the way to the pro. You played for some hot teams, like big teams, and had like, met all these big guys. And then time came, you retired. It's great that you were able to make the choice to retire and not be like, you injured out, right?
Yeah.
So what is that like? Was there any kind of like mental aspect to kind of like, was there any like, what do I do now situation? Or did you already have, I mean, like you said, you went to school and you were kind of a finance nerd, right?
Yeah. No, what you're talking about is what fuels me every day.
Okay.
I saw people or professional athletes, this is their greatest fear. This is the greatest struggle, is hanging it up and moving on to something else. That transition is the hardest thing for an athlete.
Well, it's probably like you said.
Well, can I add
thing.
something too?
Yeah.
Is working a full-time job and then starting a company and transitioning to a full company is scary too.
It's the same transition.
Dude, it's freaking scary.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Same anxiety, same nervousness. Like,
and I think anyone can think that changing jobs or moving to a house, getting married for the first, like all that, having children.
Yeah.
Like it's all scary. So I'm not saying like playing football or playing a professional sport and then switching and retiring, doing something, but I just mean like, I feel like all of us have some sort of that anxiety moving forward. So I like that.
Yeah. It's like having a baby. It's like, how's this gonna work? That's how you just like.
But that's what I was wondering. Like, is there any like you said, like loss of identity? Because I'm sure there's some guys that, like you said, it's their whole personality, right? Nothing against that, but
You know what's interesting? Everyone goes on the same path, where the athlete. So for me, I had that identity experience when I was in high school.
Sure.
Fortunately, and unfortunately, right? It's both. I say fortunately now. Back then, I would say unfortunately. I tore my ACL my senior year in the second game.
That's his alarm.
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We'll cut that.
Yeah.
I think he does that for cameras.
Oh yeah, you're good.
You can't zone that out.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to use the force and turn it off.
Just so he sees the.
Yeah, the spike in the audio, so you can edit it. But you're saying.
Oh yeah. So my senior year, I had the hardest. I would say at that point, probably the hardest thing I'd ever done, up to that point, and handled as a senior. Tore my ACL my senior year in the second game. I was so excited because I was supposed to go play in all these All-American games and all this stuff.
Oh
and
yeah.
do all the and literally it all stopped, and I remember I had the identity crisis.
Oh really?
It hit me. Like, who am I without this game? What am I? What am I gonna do? I have all this because you're so used to as an athlete every day. Your schedule's built for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, you got people pretty much decide what you're gonna eat, right?
Yeah, literally. Like and now that's all gone. Like I have all this time, which is the scariest thing for an athlete, and for anyone that transitions from a very intense schedule to now. Oh man, what am I gonna do? Fortunately for me, because my dad played, and my mom's awesome too.
She's the mayor of Provo, right?
She's the mayor of Provo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, you guys, your bloodline is just like.
There's a lot of us out
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna
Jazz
say,
running for
you guys are
president
just
next
like-
time.
I was just gonna say, like, because you're just like built for greatness.
He'd be the president of In-N-Out.
Yeah.
That's where he's at every day with me.
They're hiking Mount Everest
Yeah,
here shortly.
nice.
Yeah. So he taught us though that since we were little, I think he kind of knew we were like going towards sports. Sports is just what we do. It's not who we are. Mm-hmm. So my mom and dad were always very deliberate with us. I worked all of high school.
That's
I worked
cool.
at Days Market. If you know where Days Market is. I would play on a Friday night, be there on Saturday, either stocking shelves at 3 a.m. or working the night shift. I worked in the yards, did all of that. We did scouts, all the things at church. We all had to play an instrument. So I grew up playing the piano. And so even though we love sports and we put a lot of time and energy in there, oh man, if our grades weren't right and we go to parent teacher conference, I'm scared to death, right? Is Bronson not applying himself? And so, I feel like my mom and dad, they were really good at that just because they knew sports, we're going to be good at sports, but why don't we just do our best in everything that we do? And they made sure that, hey, sports is this long, your life's this long, and you should know that from an early age. So when I did get hurt that senior year, I learned, wow, I'm bigger than sports. Even though this is something I love and I love to go out there and play well, man, if sports would be gone today, Bronson's here, and this is who Bronson is. And I think that's really been a huge thing. But then turn that up a notch in the NFL, where the sport is paying for food on your table, it's paying for your kids, it's now it's attached to that. And so when that's ripped out, guys go through serious fear, anxiety, depression, and that's really what motivated me to get into while I was playing. I saw this happening. I got into all things business outside of the game because I was like, man, if I could help players, start to transition, or what I like to say, always transition, because you are technically always transitioning, because your time as an athlete it's literally going to end. It has a lifespan.
Yeah, exactly. There's an expiration.
So you're always transitioning technically.
Well, that's the thing is we've all seen these like horror stories of like a guy who were like just they were the guy on their team, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, I mean even hockey, things like
That's
that,
everyone
soccer.
in professional
And then
sports.
you end up like down the line you hear about their financial struggles because they just kind of partied after, or they just kind of like never really did much. And then not that, I don't know, but then you get guys like hearing Steve Young speak at the iHub event.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, I had a dream, but I also had to have a plan. And he's been more years in what he's doing now than he ever was in the NFL. And that was
I love Steve. He's a great example.
Steve freaking Young.
Those are
right?
the
Like,
guys. Those people.
Yeah.
Like, I hope every player just listens to those guys and
Yeah.
takes action on it, because in the off season, that's what I learned is like I can go and learn about real estate from a real estate expert, and they're gonna open their door just because I'm hungry to learn, and I want to invest and I want to do those things. And I found that is really what motivates me now, and everything I do is I want to find the right people and take them to the athletes and let the athletes kind of get their vision. I want their vision to open up and be like, oh my gosh,
So you got all this opportunity, right?
so
'Cause,
much opportunity.
now, I mean, the money that gets thrown at some of these guys now is
Even in
crazy.
high school.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
seriously.
I mean, now you got college athletes and high school athletes that are getting these brand deals,
$1 million.
right? I mean, what was that Olivia Dunn girl that kind of
Yeah.
like pushed a lot of that, right? With where
Gymnastics.
yeah, gymnastics.
Yeah.
But like I look at guys like Shaquille O'Neal. That dude is a mogul times 10. I mean, he's involved in everything.
The NBA is ahead of
Yeah.
the NFL. I will
Well,
say.
that's what I'm
that.
saying. Like, I mean, he owns part of, like, he pretty much owns, like, he owns an insurance company. I mean, now he's got like gummies, like he's got like candy and that are the shape of his head, and like he's become more of a business tycoon than I think he was ever. I mean, he's always gonna be Shaquille O'Neal, but now he's involved in everything, and he's probably 10 times more wealthy than he ever was before because of investments.
Yeah.
And that's what you do now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's honestly the biggest thing for me is it comes down to mindset. Like if they can take their mindset that and it's the superpower, right, of the athlete, that they can take and transition it into anything that they want. If they can see the path of how to do that, then they start to move really fast. And it's awesome to see. But sometimes the athlete, when they're done playing, they just need someone to believe in them.
Yeah.
Just like someone believed in them when they were playing their sport.
oh, I get that.
You know what I mean? Because when they're done playing,
What are they?
Yeah.
Who are they?
who believes in me?
You say it goes back to that identity crisis.
Yeah. So
Let's go back with this. You were talking about the connection and all that kind of stuff. I really think, because we're talking about athletes, but I want to make sure like everyone understands that this goes for everyone.
any high performing person,
Yeah.
dad,
Yeah.
husband, we're all high performers.
But it's just like you're like you were talking about. Hey, yeah, I during off season I wanted to go learn about real estate, so I went and talked to someone about real estate. We can do that.
Yeah.
Anyone can go and talk
It
to
doesn't
people.
have to. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be a professional athlete. It doesn't have to be a multimillionaire. It can be just Joe Schmo down the street and saying, you know what, I want to better myself.
Yeah.
Let's go do this. And so we were talking about this with John Moore, just saying there's so many people, especially here in Utah, but I think everywhere are more than willing to talk to you and give you advice and show you the ropes if you just ask. Because for me, like, when you go to the gym, like back in the day when I was doing bodybuilding and powerlifting, people would come up and ask all the time, and I'd be like, oh yeah, you do this, you do this, you do this, and this is how I would do this, and then but I would never go to them because I don't want to self-impose myself and say, hey, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be that guy to say, dude, I know so much more than you. But if I feel like that's everyone. It's like, hey, Bronson, help me here. Like, how do I do this? And then you're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Let's talk about it. And
Yeah.
I feel like people just need to not be afraid. I think that just being in their own self and just like, they're not going to help me. I'm nobody. Nope. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
You are somebody.
Yeah.
And go talk to him. I don't know. That's just my
No,
thought.
I like that.
The
That's a
whole
good
time you were
perspective.
talking about this, I'm like, this is pertinent for everyone.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
It really is for everyone. And I think
But what you do specifically is amazing because I think everyone has mental health issues. Everyone has those problems, and I think it's really cool that you're helping people like that.
yeah. No, yeah, it's just something I'm super passionate about. And you're right. Everyone really needs everyone needs a mentor. Everyone needs a coach. Everyone.
Everyone.
It doesn't matter who you are. Like the greatest players in life, the greatest players in business, the greatest players in anything, any industry, they all had a coach. And but like you said, just that little bit of fear to ask. And I really love helping athletes, people understand that, hey, you can do 5 seconds of just these really scary 5 seconds can change your life. Like going and asking someone for help, that takes 5 seconds, and I'm scared to death. But guess what? There's so much love and appreciation on the other side of that man, just do it. Like you can do it.
We just talked to, like you said, we were just talking to John Moore with Here Brotherhood about that, is that there's the misconception that, I mean, men, we kind of put this on ourselves, right? Is that it's weaker to go ask for help, when in reality it's actually harder to ask for help than it is to just like stay prideful and stay quiet about it, right?
Yeah.
And then that's one thing that we've noticed since, I mean, just going to, you know, Sean Finnegan, like the X Room event, like he started inviting us to the X Room events, and I'm kind of like sitting there in this group of just massively influential and wealthy people and just trying to meet people. And I'm like noticing them, like, these guys are all worth, a lot of them are worth millions, and they're like asking how they can help each other. And I'm kind of like, and I'm like, you guys have like no boundaries almost. And that's what I'm realizing is like the most successful people, they almost like light up when you ask them like, hey, can you help me with this? Or who do you know that I can? And I'm realizing that like the people who are kind of stuck are the people who are like not wanting to talk, or like not wanting to like ask for help, or not wanting to like step outside the comfort level a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, and getting out of that comfort zone is so
so
hard, but
sucks.
freeing.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah.
So it does suck. And it's gonna, I mean, but anything worthwhile is gonna suck, to be honest with you. Like, and
you know what, the coolest rewarding thing I've not ever had, I mean, there's a lot of cool, but business wise, is at the X Room, multi-millionaire, probably worth $500 million, came up to me and said, how do you do this? And I'm like, you're asking me?
how cool is that, right?
I'm like, but I knew the answer, and I knew what I would do.
Yeah.
And because it's worked for me, but I just like, you are worth so much in my mind. You're so much like up here where I'm trying to be, and yet you're humbling yourself enough to come talk to me. I'm like, the most successful people are like that.
That's crazy.
No, it's seriously, they're all like that. And you know what's awesome about it is that level of abundance is everywhere in that group of people. And if you can go into any situation and think, okay, how can I give? How can I help here? How can I, instead of going into a situation where it's like, okay, I need to take this, I need to do that. It's just a different mindset. But it's interesting because then the law of attraction takes over, right? The law of reciprocity takes over, all these things. And all of a sudden, the things that you need just start to appear because you've been helping so many people. And then people start to know what you need, and they start giving it. And it's so awesome. And that's one thing, just back to the athletes, they struggle with, right? Because it's kind of a me mentality.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah.
Just what you were saying about.
Yeah.
Like, you had to prove every day why you were there.
Yeah.
You had to have that mindset.
And literally you compete all day, 24/7. I'm competing all the time. So now when they're done playing and they go into a situation where you are still competing, but you're also helping everyone at the same time. And I think that's like something that I'm always trying to help them learn. A lot of these NFL, NBA guys, it's like, hey, like, help all the time. Like, whenever someone asks you for help, anything you can do, just make connections, help people with anything they got going on, and give. And because that's honestly the greatest thing that anyone with influence has, is that platform to give. And athletes really have that. And not every single one of them know this, but they can change so many kids' lives.
Oh, yeah.
So many people's lives just by giving time and, giving energy towards building other people up. It's the best platform.
Yeah, like I said, I love when you get people who have a platform, or who have they have like a lot of influence, and they use it for a force for good. Like that's a big win for me. Like, but one thing I was also thinking while you're talking was, when you're a professional athlete or somebody with influence or whatever, like you're under, well, athletes 10 times more, you're under like constant scrutiny. too. Like constant. Not from just,
But legit, how do you
Joe
handle it?
Schmo and everybody with a, that's a fantasy football league owner, right? Or like, but I mean, you get, sports pundits and all these professional
Especially in
analysts
New York
that are
with the
just,
Jets. I can't imagine.
yeah, just
Big market.
constantly like,
Oh, dude,
I
they're
mean, yeah, just constantly beating guys up too. Of kind of like, I mean, you look at like, it's almost kind of like how, speaking of the Jets, like Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of fallen pretty far at the moment, right? And I mean, like, it's a you kind of feel bad because all of his great years are kind of getting overshadowed by maybe some of his, they're not going so great right now.
Yeah.
So how does that play in your mental health as a professional athlete? Like if you do end up on the wrong side of like an article or a conversation or something like that. I don't know if that ever happened to you, but
Yeah. No, for sure.
yeah, we get a lot of crap comments on our pages a lot.
yeah.
They just make me laugh. But you can't rub those off on when they're talking about your physical presence on. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do
on
it. That would
national
just be-
television,
Yeah.
right?
You know what's interesting is the ability to shift focus. It becomes a trained habit for a lot of these athletes because they already know, good or bad, they're going to be talked about.
Sure.
And it comes down not so much to what these people's focus is on and what they're seeing, but where am I placing my focus? And that's what matters. So they're very good at this is what's going on over here with the media. This is what's going on. But I'm looking at over here. I'm looking at these guys in the locker room. I'm looking at this next practice. I'm looking at what I'm about to eat for lunch to fuel me for practice today. And they get really, really good at being precise on that focus because it's really easy to focus over here. And I would say most of the world does that. But a lot of people, they're really good at, a lot of the athletes especially, they're really good at saying, okay, what matters today? What matters right now? And that's all they see. That's all they hear. That's all they are about. And I think it's
Very tunnel vision.
very tunnel vision. And it's a trained habit. Like it's a mental skill that takes time and training and but you get really good at it. And because from a very young age, like when these guys are playing in high school and they're doing really good, and then all of a sudden something doesn't go well, the newspapers are already writing about them. And then social media changed the game because now everyone's talking about it on social media the next day.
All the time.
No, instantly.
Like
People are talking
YouTube
about
is
it.
like
yeah,
YouTube's the worst.
literally like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. So
Like there's lives popping up, hundreds of lives about you.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so it can get very heavy, and it gets the heaviest when your focus is on it. But in that situation, it's okay. Where can I place my focus? Right, and I think that's a freeing question. I
Does
do have
it
a choice.
ever
Yeah,
affect your wife? Or-
I would say so. I think families are affected for sure. Like
Yeah.
especially, I mean, kids. Like if I've seen players whose kids get affected by it, because
Well,
they go to school and
Yeah.
they're just like any other kid out there.
So as a dad of
Yeah.
a professional athlete, you as a dad, and how do you help your kids with their mindset and their authenticity, and how do you help them so that as they get your genetics, they're going to be freaks? You know what I mean? Like in the most best way possible.
Yeah.
They're going to have things that something like my kids don't have. They just won't have that genetic background, unfortunately. But they can sing.
Sure.
There you go. There you go.
I just look at it. He's like,
There you go. I can't do that. I can't do that.
they can do magic.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
No, but how do you teach them, and how do you teach your kids to be kind, to love, to show charity, show what you respect to everyone? How do you show them that when they might have an advantage genetically or just whatever?
Yeah. I would say first, the most important thing is to never leave their team.
Ooh, I like that.
And this is
Shut up. I love that because I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
never
don't
leave
use
their
that
team.
word, but
Yeah.
I use that all no matter what.
Yeah, don't leave their team.
Mhm.
And what I mean by this, and I see this in young athletes, because that's one business that I started was a mindset group for young athletes, because I watched so many parents leave their kid's team. That player needs their dad. They don't need their dad to turn into another coach. They have plenty of coaches. That player needs to be able to come home and just be loved by their dad, mom, right? The parents, just unconditionally, because I just see like so many, sorry, I cry about this because my dad, my dad taught me this, and I want to do it for my kids too, because it made such a difference. It was never about how I played. It was never. What mattered was I performing? Was I doing my best? And was I focusing on the task? So my dad never said, how many sacks did you get? Or in the car ride home. Vital for a parent and their kids after a sporting event. I never got chewed out, right? I never walked to the car having fear of what my dad's gonna say to me. I can't tell you how many kids I can see that fear after a game in their eyes as they're walking to the car. And it's like it's just not what sports and life is made to do. And so for me, it's a different mindset when that kid who just went out and gave it their all up, and they had a bad game, and they're walking to the car with their dad, right, or mom or whoever, and they know this is my safe place.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what matters. So
I love that.
yeah. So
Dude, that's
Thanks for
super
sharing.
powerful.
Yeah.
You just kind of took me back. My senior year, like I said, short offensive lineman. Last game, playoff, we lose it. I knew it was my last game ever. And I was walking off the field just bawling.
yeah.
Right? And I walked right past my girlfriend to my dad. I was like, she was like right there, and I like cruised right past her, and I think kind of shocked her a little bit. But I went and hugged my dad because he was there every game. Like, he was just, so I love that you had that. And I love that your dad was a guy in a place of influence and has been a coach for that many years, because that's the kind of guy you want as a coach.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we talk about this all the time, of like, it starts with you. And so I think your dad is kind of like the embodiment of that, of how it started with him, and he imparted that to you and your siblings. And now that's something that we can very obviously see is something that means a lot to you, that is like reassuring that you're imparting that to your kids. And that's the generational impact we want to see, not generational trauma. You want to see the generational impact of positivity and like decency and just, I love that, man. That hit me pretty hard. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think that's a perfect way to end.
I was going to say, I don't think there's much more we can say off of that.
I love that. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It taught me some stuff.
we always kind of leave some kind of a challenge.
I like it. I like it.
And the thing that I kind of have on my mind was just like, we, as everyday average guys, we put professional athletes on these pedestals. I mean, you guys are modern day gladiators, right?
I did it too growing up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's cool to see these moments, like some of the buddies I have who've played professional football. I mean, meeting you and just other, professional athletes you meet along the way, realizing that you guys are just, you're people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. So, the kind of challenge that I have, kind of going back to what you were saying, Tyson, was don't count yourself out, right? Don't count yourself out because you're not this guy, you're not that guy, you're not this lady or whatever.
Yeah.
That you have just as much opportunity for impact as anybody else. And I think the story you just shared is the challenge I want to have, is like, if you're a father and you have got kids, when you're walking away from that 8-year-old soccer game, one thing that my wife has put onto me is asking my kids if they are proud of themselves, not just, hey, Dad, are you proud of me? So the challenge here is come up with opportunities to where you can kind of breed that positive pride in your kids, and that they're not fearful of that walk home or that walk to the car. So, but dude, thank you.
Great insight.
That's
great insight.
I love that this went the way that it did, because I wasn't expecting it, and it was
None of the questions I prepared did I ask. Like, it was amazing. This is like what I really enjoy.
So
Just having a really good, honest conversation. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to us. If you have a chance, please give us a 5-star review, as well as write something a little pretty in there so that we know that you know that we know that you care. Anyway, have a great day, guys. See, I can't do it.
Dude, that was good. I liked that. You got to redo it without laughing. That was good.